Speaking of replacements, Brian's got in touch to say, has Vincent Kompany over the last 6 months proved that he is ready to inherit the managerial position from Pep Guardiola if Pep Guardiola leaves at the end of this season or next season? Obviously, he's got the love from the fans already, but one of the fears was that he would be coming in and he wouldn't be able to take City to that next level after Guardiola. However, his work with Bayern Munich has shown that he is up there with the very best tacticians in European football. Is the time now? Peter, I imagine our answers will differ. You're a very logical thinking person. I don't know. I'm projecting a little bit. I'm a very emotional thinking person, and for me, if you were to ask me straight up, do I want the Pep Guardiola replacement to be Vincent Kompany? I would probably say no, just because naturally, whoever comes in after Guardiola is going to be a downgrade, unless you went and got, I don't know, God himself, which I would actually argue Pep Guardiola is my God, so there's that. You are not going to get an upgrade on Guardiola. Obviously, the question is how much of a downgrade are you going to get? I think you get one shot at Vincent Kompany being City manager, and I want the feeling around it to be perfect going into it. However, in isolation, if you asked who would be the perfect coach, who would be the replacement, abstracting that sort of emotional energy from it, it's simple, isn't it? It has to be him.
See, I actually agree with you, which is
nice. I'm a little bit surprised, pleasantly surprised. But
I think I'm kind of on the fence, right? I wouldn't be opposed to Kompany coming in because clearly he's a great coach, but I think the key word is timing. I don't think the timing's right at all, because you very, very rarely see a dynasty end like we've had with Pep Guardiola, and then the next guy be successful as well. It's so difficult to walk into those shoes. And then with the current tactical landscape of the Premier League as well, with it being super physical, they're the teams we've seen Bayern struggle against in the Champions League. For example, they got destroyed by Arsenal in the group stage. And so I'm not necessarily convinced the timing for Kompany to come into City is right, because not sure his football would be super successful in the Premier League, as good as it is to watch for Bayern. It's amazing, but would that be translatable? I'm not sure. And then is the squad in a position where they could play that football? Also, I'm not sure. In attack, I don't think we have enough rotational synergy at the moment to be able to play that. Like, yes, Cherky could probably do it. Maybe Foden could do it. But then I think we lack maybe your Elise. We lack that big player. And then in midfield as well, is it perfect? No. So I'd maybe be more inclined to wait 2 years, maybe 3 years, get the squad to the peak of its powers, let Kompany develop as a coach a bit more, and then pull the trigger and say, now come and manage City. Because like you say, you're only going to get one shot at it. And I think it'd be a bit naive to waste that shot now. I'd be more inclined to go and get an Enzo Maresca, for example, someone I rate really highly. I think he'd transition us quite nicely through. Assess Fabregas, I'd be a bit more opposed to, just because of a lack of experience. My number one pick would be Xabi Alonso. I think he's an amazing coach. And then maybe if you get Xabi Alonso, you never end up with Vincent Kompany because he'd be so good. But I think he's very likely to go to Liverpool. So I think we'll see Enzo Maresca, and that'd probably be my number one choice.
Sorry to interrupt the show, but the chances are that you're not subscribed to the City Ramble. So if that is the case, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button below. Yeah, I completely subscribe to the idea that, you know, you want somebody like Vincent Kompany to come into your club with the sort of the connection that you've already got, and it feel like an upgrade. You want that to sort of that excitement to be there, and I'm not saying that it wouldn't be exciting if Vincent didn't take over, you know, in the summer or next summer, but you depart from the Guardiola era, which will at the time whenever he leaves be over 10 years, and there will be so much sort of sadness, but also, you know, happiness and reflection and stuff like that. It just doesn't, in my eyes, just doesn't seem like the right time. Maresca's a really interesting one, because if you think about, you know, what you want for City's next manager, I completely agree that as a coach, I think he's a wonderful coach, and with the pieces that City have got, he'd have a great time in terms of moulding and developing, and, you know, naturally the expectations for City fans would have to drop off because, again, no Guardiola. I think this season, for all of the criticisms Pep has had, if you do this rebuild with any other manager, City are struggling to get into the top 4/5, let alone speaking about a potential, you know, last-ditch Premier League title race. So then naturally, you know, City's expectations will have to drop off. I think coaching-wise, it'd be perfect. My fear would be in terms of that managerial aspect, because, of course, Chelsea is possibly in the Premier League the worst place you want to be as a manager, trying to get your ducks in order. You're battling Todd Bowley. You've got players who probably think they're a little bit better than they are. You're not necessarily challenging for Premier League trophies, etc., etc. So it's a massively difficult job, possibly on a par with United. But you're coming into a dressing room that has only known success for 10 years. Apart from, obviously, last season, every single year, again, apart from 2016, but none of those players are here anymore, every single year has had trophies, relentless success. Sure, Maresca's won the Club World Cup, he's won the Conference League, he got Chelsea into the top four. Good achievements. Would he have the personality? That is a question I don't have an answer to yet, because it's only one that you can really get an answer to when it plays out. But it'd be my tiny little fear, I guess. You're currently watching a segment from our full podcast recording. If you'd like to listen to the show in full, you can go to your podcast feed and search The City Ramble. Whilst you're there, make sure to hit the follow button. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't already, leave a like on this video.
Yeah, that's a fear you're going to have with anybody, though. Like, you don't know if a manager can win with your club until he wins with your club. Like, so you can't really say. I think it's a risk you have to take. The thing I like about Enzo Maresca is how good he was in those big games for Chelsea. You very, very rarely saw Chelsea get turned over in any big game. The best example is the Club World Cup final against PSG. Almost everyone wrote them off there, and they beat them 3-0 because of his tactics. Same thing against Barcelona early this season. They won that game because of Maresca's tactics. Maybe where he shouldn't be winning. I don't think he's the better squad in either of those games, but he still does. I think we had some like really difficult games against Maresca's Chelsea too. I think the fear is maybe, can he beat these worse off teams? Because that's where he struggled with Chelsea. He couldn't really break down low blocks at all. But I think that's more of a personnel thing. I think having guys like Cherki, Doku, Haaland, naturally it's going to make that a whole lot easier than having Garnacho. So I'd like to think the personnel would drag him through there.
You? Jesus.
Yeah. But the fear for me is, can he coach an effective method to break down these low blocks and beat these worse off teams? Because beating the crap teams and being consistent is where you win Premier Leagues, really. It's not about beating the best teams. But I think he's a nice kind of transitional guy, right? He's quite similar to Guardiola in terms of principles too, which is why, like I said before, he'd probably be my number one pick.
Yeah, it can be a sacrificial lamb as well. If City want to get rid of him and Kompany becomes available, maybe he's the next Pellegrini in that sense. Who you don't really have for 5-6 years or anything. No, I think we've ticked plenty of boxes there. Good discussion, good debate. Anything else to add before we bounce?
Not really. Oh yeah, subscribe to me on YouTube and TikTok. I need to get better at that. I always forget to promote myself. But I have a podcast as well. I do things. I forget about.
You do very good things.
I do things. But it's the Tactics board on YouTube and TikTok. I do breakdowns now after most City games, so I think they're interesting. If you like what I said on here, you'll probably like them too. So you can go and subscribe to that. And then I do daily videos on Man City, on the City board on TikTok, and on general football as well on the Tactics board. So please go and follow that as well.
The perfect sales pitch to round us off. Peter,
far,
massive thank you. We'll leave it there for today. Until next time, it's been a pleasure. We're back speaking about match previews, Chelsea away. That could be fun. Until next time, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you.